Good afternoon from Thailand and from AIT, everyone, my colleagues from AIT, respected participants from all over the world, our speaker, respected speaker from Australia. Everyone, it's a great pleasure and indeed an honor to welcome you all to this online session that we are delivering from AIT Extension. Just to give you a little background about this, that AIT Extension, those of you who are joining first time, a session from AIT Extension for you. AIT Extension is AIT's fourth entity. We are basically responsible for professional training, capacity building, consulting, and research activities. We have been operating for more than 30 years from AIT. This is a session that we have been actually conducting since COVID, more through online, but also before COVID, maybe face-to-face. These are the sessions that we call free online knowledge sharing sessions that we do it very often, quite regularly, sometimes twice a month, three times a month. So this is one of that session, and the session is very interesting with the title called Leadership Without Formal Authority, which will be delivered one of our respected resource person and also an AIT alumnus, Dr. Shahadat Choudhury from Sydney, Australia. So before going into the formal opening of this online session, let me just tell you a few things how you can actually participate in this session. I believe all of you are able to listen me and will be able to listen our speaker and also follow the presentation which will be delivered through this online session. If there is any problem, definitely you can let us know. There are options like Q&A button. I think this is accessible by all of our participants, so you can write your questions and also queries. And also there is another option called chat box. You can also put your problems or issues if you are facing anything. So those are mainly the tools that you will be able to use during the sessions and also maybe at the end of sessions. If you have any questions, you can keep writing it in the chat box and the Q&A box. Also, I think there is another option that is called raise your hand, which will be probably accessible by all of you or some of you. Those of you have the option called raise hand. You can also raise your hand to ask the question. I think with that, allow me to also inform you that this session is basically for an hour and the rough content will be like this introduction that I'm basically giving you. After that, I will request the Executive Director of AIT Extension, Mr. Goravet Chonglasin, to say a few words and open the session. And after that, I will introduce the speaker, Dr. Shahadat Choudhury, with some information. And then I will request Dr. Shahadat Choudhury to start the session and deliver his session. Well, he will take probably 30 to 40 minutes to deliver this session. And then there will be a Q&A session after that. With the conclusion and Q&A, and then the vote of thanks. This probably will be end around 3 p.m. So with that, I think I will now request our Executive Director, Mr. Goravet Chonglasin, Executive Director of AIT Extension, to say a few words and open this online session. Over to you, Mr. Goravet.
Thank you, Dr. Zakir Hussain. Thank you very much, and I would like to welcome all the participants who are attending these online sessions, which is actually to me is very special topics, because I found that these topics, is very practical, and also the topic itself is very straightforward. And we know that now we are moving into the, digital, global changing, situation, and things are changing very rapidly. And also we are talking about that we are also building the capacity of the future leaders and also with the next generations. So to me personally, and also to my organization at AIT, and also your organizations as well, that we found that this topic is very relevant and also very important for the young generations, next generation leader to be able to listen to some of the key points from the experience that we have gained, that we will gain from the really practitioners. And this Dr. Shahadat Chaudhry is the practitioner who have a lot of experience, not only from the practical point of view, but also from the role of being the public service, in Australia, and also as a specialist in the water resource engineering, and also the experience working with the communities, working with the bureaucrats, working with the decision makers, and also working with the academic communities. So we are really very interested in the subject in order to, see how we can use the practical experience that Dr. Shahadat has to our day-to-day, work and life scenario in a day-to-day situation there. So thank you very much for Dr. Shahadat Chaudhry for giving us time. And I believe that this is second occasion that he gives the time for AIT already. And we are looking forward to listen to you, and also for our audience, and also for my colleagues at AIT Extension, will for sure will gain some key points and also the key message that we can apply right away, after the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Achan Goravet Chunlasi. I think this is the time to introduce our speaker, Dr. Shahadat Chaudhry. I think he's here already, have joined us. I think Dr. Shahadat Chaudhry is very well known to many of us, especially people who are working at AIT, and also the AIT alumni, because he has been very active in AIT alumni community. So he's doing many things, of course, with the leadership role and the leadership capacity. So I just would like to probably say a few things about him, just to introduce about him and his work, and also his leadership capacity. So Dr. Shahadat Chaudhry, originally from Sydney, Australia. I think he has been working with the government of New South Wales, Australia for more than 30 years now, with the leadership role, taking care of the state's water resources. So this is very important. And we are very proud as an AIT alumni that he is an AIT alumnus, graduated from AIT in 1990s, around end of 1980s, around end of 1980s, from the water engineering and management field, with a master's degree from AIT. And I think that is the time after immediately his master's, he moved to Australia. And ever since, he has been living in Australia. Dr. Shahadat also has served for the government in another capacity, and it's quite interesting to see that he has been an elected councillor for the Parramatta City Council in New South Wales, which is probably the second largest city after Sydney in Australia, with a, I think $14 billion economy. And as a councillor, along with his other councillor colleagues, their main duty was to direct the executives of the city council to use this city's budget, which is $185 million, which is a big task. And I think Dr. Shahadat has served for that position from 2012 to 2016. Another interesting thing about Dr. Shahadat is he has been with the Scouts of Australia since 1995, and I think he has now received an award for this 35 years of service with the Scouts of Australia. He has been holding this 35 years of service decoration, and he has got many medals, and he has got many awards while he served for the Scouts of Australia. He has got this initial training in 1998 from the Scouts Australia Institute of Training, which was about the advanced leadership qualification. ever since that, I think he has been taking the leadership position also. And he has also received the award called Silver Arrowhead Award from the Governor General of Australia. So that's another very interesting leadership capacity and role that Dr. Shahadat Chaudhary has served. Other than that, I think Dr. Shahadat Chaudhary has been serving as a pro bono board member for many, many boards, which are local, national, and international level. I think notably he is in the board of Faculty of Engineering of the University of New South Wales, Sydney. He was also a trained mentor for the graduate employees in the public service. He has been the mathematics ambassador in his local primary school. I think he has served for that for quite some time, 7 or 8 years. He taught also in the University of Sydney, University Technology of Sydney. He offers development talks quite often on specific topics like water resource challenges, general leadership practices, and all those areas. Dr. Shahadat Chaudhary has now recently has actually shown a very leadership role in managing the water scarcity problem, which has been facing the New South Wales. And he has been doing that since 2017 and until 2020. He has played a very vital role to counteract the water scarcity issues in New South Wales. Dr. Shahadat also has served as an international consultant in many international projects. He has been working with AIT, with us. We know he has also worked in Laos and Cambodia for many different projects. I think with that, I'd like to now request Dr. Shahadat to start his presentation, and in addition to what I said to introduce him, if you'd like to add a few more things, please go ahead. Over to you, Dr. Shahadat.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zakir, for that nice and kind presentation. Look, let me share the screen. Okay. Look, first of all, I do like to say thank you, AIT, and specifically AIT Extension, for giving me this opportunity to share my knowledge and experience. I'm very humbled with that quite detailed introduction about myself. Some of my achievement, or a significant portion of my achievement, I do attribute to my training in AIT during my days while I was there. It is a very unique environment. It is an environment that you can learn to persevere in among different cultures, among different work challenges, research challenges, actually challenges of life that we face. AIT is probably a good ground to learn that. Plus, obviously, challenge of hot weather, which is probably the rest of the world is now learning. When I was in AIT, I remember just a shower at least 3 times a day. It was so hot during the summer. Look, what today I'll be doing is Dr. Zakir kindly has introduced give a good introduction about myself. I just like to share actually why those particular points are important or relevant of today's presentation. First of all, I've written there working for the government of New South Wales in Australia since 1992. I'm not sure whether you are aware of it, but if you have been to Australia or being mixed and have some concept, Australian society is a very egalitarian society. It is very flat society. So in terms of leadership here, people, even though those who got authority, they seldom use their authorities. They try to achieve their result through very egalitarian way. One of the example I like to give, when I started, it was very new. I even didn't know other than my own immediate supervisor, who was actually manager or director, because everyone, the way they used to sit down, the way they used to talk, I had no idea. So for example, you walk into a room which got maybe 8 chairs and there are 10 people. So usually manager or director, the most executive directors, they're a very busy person. They're the last one to walk in. But no one will leave their chair because since they came last, they'll be standing in the room because they didn't have a seat. And if anything, if you stand up to give them the seat, they'll take it as if you're trying to probably butter them up. It's actually negative. You're trying to oil your boss. So that is sort of the environment. So in that environment, helped me to learn how to lead without authority, or even if you have authority, without using that authority, how you can get your work done. So that's one of the number one point is that's why I've said it probably relevant of what I'm talking today. Second line, if you read in the slide, I was elected councillor, Parramatta City Council. So it is like any election maybe in your areas. In some country, they call ward council, ward commissioner. In some countries, something else. So it is really grassroots election. And you go home to home, someone will yell at you, someone will give you flower, all sorts of things. So I was elected there, and once I am there, so I was a part of a mini parliament, which is called council of the councillors. And in that chamber, obviously, since everyone is equal, so it's like in the member of parliament, everyone is equal. So there a lot of debates will happen. So over there also, I've learned that how you can assert your influence among your colleagues to make sure that you get the maximum vote on the floor to get a project passed through. And it is one of the biggest council, is the second biggest within Sydney, after Sydney, as Dr. Zakir rightly pointed out. So that was a good learning for me, and very different learning than my original training of engineering, really. Third one is I was commissioner. I've been a member of Scouts for a very long time. Still I am. But I was holding the position of commissioner, or called rank of commissioner, or warrant of commissioner, from 1995 to 2010 for 15 years. Scouting is very, it is a volunteer organization. So you're managing all, even though I was commissioner, I got like all this uniform and everything, you can see all the star on my body. Still, actually, I'm just a volunteer, and I'm trying to explain, lead another volunteer. So even though I may look like an army major or something, but I didn't have any power like an army major, so people may not listen. So the way I like to get things done, again, there is a training that you need to do, that how you like to get things done when you don't have any power. I cannot sack them. In my office, yeah, in your office, if you don't listen to your boss, probably you'll not have a job next month or next year. But that was not the case. Then how did you get things done in that sort of environment? Now, the last line I just said, but yes, my training, I did Bachelor of Engineering from Bangladesh, BUET. I've done my degree in 3 or 4 different countries, and my master's in AIT, which is in Thailand. And third one, I've done a PhD in University of New South Wales in Sydney. That's again a different place. And the certificate for advanced leadership I've done through Scouting. So that is my sort of training. I'm not a person with an MBA. I'm not a person with any of those. However, I've learned all these things through the job and the way environment I've been. And I assume that you all also will be able to do that. That's my point here, actually, that yes, if you'd like to get an MBA, please do that. That will help you, obviously, but don't get me wrong. But that will probably even make you more. If I had MBA, maybe I'd do even much better than what I had now. But what my point is, don't wait for that. But you can train yourself into it if you're aware of it. So how we will go today, it will be interactive session. But I would love to run this session actually face to face. If I'm in a room in a Bangkok, in a campus, all of you in the room, we can really debate our ideas. But these are not engineering or mathematics. There is no really right and wrong. I cannot say 2 + 2 is 4. Yes, but here 2 + 2 may not be 4. It may be 5, maybe 4 or 3.5. Those sort of, it depends on how the debate and exercise. But we cannot do that obviously online. But I'll do that through some browser. If you have a mobile phone, please open your mobile phone, and and you can go to a website called slido.com, and we'll talk through that. You can leave your comment, as I say, in a Zoom chat, and also and just as a courtesy, it is a pro bono session. So please, I'm happy to rerun it, but it's a copyright material. They spend some time to do that. And what I'll do also today's session, I like to keep it very practical and simple. Rather than very high level talk, very practical, simple, so that you can see yourself on those examples. So yes, while I was talking, I would say that if you have a computer in front of you, you can see, please scan that code. Going back, yes, please, if you like to scan that code, and then we'll go from there. If you cannot scan, what you could do also is just go to slido.com and then put that hashtag. All right, I hope people has done it by now. So what I do now, let's see whether you have done it. If you could answer this question, which country are you from? It probably should pop up in your phone. Yes, India, we got it. But more India is getting bigger. Oh, Bangladesh is probably overcoming India by the look of it. Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Yugoslavia. Okay, now Thailand is becoming bigger now. More Thais are okay, but that's probably understandable, isn't it? It is located in Thailand, Sri Lanka, Philippines, Vietnam, Cambodia. I'm assuming there is some more people, and I can see only 18 people registered probably. Please, if you haven't done that, again, go to in your browser, say slido.com and hashtag 4031886. That will allow you to get in there. Okay, so yeah, 22 people are in there now. It's amazing, isn't it? Nowadays, due to technology, I'm sitting in Sydney, you're sitting in Bangkok, and many other people, different places, and still we can do something interactive here. We got someone from Pakistan. Okay, so yeah, keep posting that. What I'll do now, let's go to next slide while you're doing that. Look, first of all, let's go through this leadership without authority. Let's understand without formal what leadership itself, because different people sometimes has a bit different meaning. I just went and to the opened the book, one of the big authority Oxford Dictionary. It says the action of leading a group of people or an organization. When I read that, leadership means leading. That's probably nothing. It's not adding much knowledge into that. So let's try it another dictionary. Collins Dictionary is another very renowned one. The position or state of being control of a group of people. This is actually a good one. As a leader, when you lead means you are controlling that group of people, like you are in front. If you're walking, say for you're doing bushwalking, you're walking in somewhere or you are in the front, if people are following you, that means you're a leader. You're controlling which way you go, turn left or right, this is leader. Now let's come to even more modern one. Forbes, if you read that magazine, normally it's a magazine the old CEO will read. If you're a bank manager or bank CEO with $1 million salary, maybe you'll be reading Forbes. And that Forbes is saying it's a process of social influence which maximizes the effort of others towards achievement of a goal. So today's talk mainly will focus on that. But the previous two is very wide open, difficult to relate on our everyday life. But in everyday life, in your actual, what you're trying to influence to maximize the effort and achievement of a goal. If you're given a project, you're trying to get that project done, really. And that project needs people. And how you can get maximum out of these people is maybe what it is. So maybe we will go through that. Now, let's come to workplace structure. So here, again, leadership talk can be very wide, can be very big, and it can be many things. But what I am trying to do today, the chances are how as an AIT alumni or actually AIT family or those who are here today, what you might face from that perspective. Now, this is a traditional workplace. There is a boss there, probably some middle management, and the worker. And you can make it much more complex. But concept is that it's a pyramid. That the further you go, the power is concentrated on top, and from top decide what will happen, and this slowly it get distributed. This structure is there everywhere, and there is a need for it. But we agree to that. Otherwise, there will be no discipline. Nothing could be done. Nothing will be done. So this structure is there for long-term stability of any grouping. This is actually true even at your family, your home, and social life, everywhere. There need to be a hierarchy. Otherwise, if everyone goes in every direction, there's no discipline, nothing get done. Given that this is for a very long-term thing, for day-to-day work, day-to-day project and task and everything, then actually what we do nowadays is this. That's what you come up with in a day-to-day situation. What it is a group of people try to achieve something. You can see from the right and left, from the left, that black human figure on top, probably he's the boss, but he's coming in the circle, like there's no very clear point for him. It's not that he's the one who is leading and saying everything, no. And I guess another three is somewhere else, and this is circular argument. So this is sort of project-based organizational structure that you are given a project and you have to fulfill that project. And that project, for that particular project, it is not that everything needs to come from the top. Then it is also not practical either. If everything, say for example, in case of AIT, if everything needs to come from president, every little thing, then president will have no time to do anything. He'll have no time to think about anything, and his time is much more valuable. He'll not have time to direct everything. So it depends on the project. So this is the rightmost one, is what we do. Now, another probably Slido will come after this. I like to understand actually the mix of today's audience here. We are around. So the question is, how long ago you had your bachelor degree? So that'll give us some idea that how many what sort of spread we got today in this room. See, in a sense, whatever I'm saying today, those who haven't got formal authority, still they can use that, because even if they use it, this is even better. For example, sometime if you are a very high level leader and you're sitting on the floor, on the grass with actually very grassroots level of worker, that is actually very positive. The workers get very motivated that, okay, he's even such a big leader, or he's the head of a whole company, and he's coming and helping us to clean the conference room, or clean the table, or those sort of things. So that actually, in a sense, helpful. Okay, we got 26 answer. Look like most of you are more than 15 years ago. You have done your bachelor degree. But interestingly, second most is 5 to 10 years ago, and third most less than 5 years ago. All right, now it is changing again, but more than 15 years ago. Okay, in that case, I would say that maybe the task, the example I prepared for today, some of the example maybe a little bit elementary for you, but what I will say that still you'll find it useful for your everyday preparation. I'm still looking at waiting for this. Okay, so more than 15 years ago. So probably most of you are senior, and 5 to 10 years ago also a good number. But still we got some number that who got less than 5 years ago, and 11 to 15 years ago on a mid-career. Wherever you are at career, sometimes you'll find that you're given a task. That task is, let's see, I'm just a different screen. Okay. Say, for example, as a hypothetical, as I said, in today's session, I'm using all the examples, probably that will be much more clearer and practical one. Say, for example, this is a structure. And the yellow one I'll talk to, which is normally in every organization, there's a managing director, and the director will have an executive secretary, and maybe another 3 or 4 directors under that managing director or executive director. And all those directors will have some managers, so they'll have some officers, and this is how the structure. And think about, you are actually officer AB1 here, and you're given a project, and the project is this. You're officer AB1, and your project suddenly, the CEO or the managing director came and say that, look, as a company, we got a project. What the project is, we like to organize an expo or exhibition on renewable energy. Says the project. So, okay, your name is AB1. AB1, can you organize that? You can say that, oh, actually, I've never done that. Maybe it would be very difficult for me. Okay, you can say that. If you say that, what will happen? You're losing an opportunity to show your leadership and progression. So you'll probably always. So that is your AB. But if you are really clever and like to go up and you aspire to be a leader, you should say, yes, I can do that. And you take it. So, and you're given a team. What the team you got? Let me see. The team is yourself, which is AB. And since it's a renewable energy, this officer AA2 is there. He knows about renewable energy, but you are not. We probably is electrical engineer. He knows very well, and you two are friends, so you can talk. You can see the arrow going both ways. So good. At least you have got someone, and then you are given this AA3 officer AA3, who is that person. He's a clerk. He's more very good at admin as he's a clerical person. Oh, okay. This is so what do you do? There's no AA. Whatever you ask him to do, he will do it. He doesn't probably will not participate much. So arrow is going that way to that. Now, in that case, you are leading, but what is happening? This manager AA also become involved. And obviously that manager is senior to you, and chances are the manager will always ask you to do this, do that. Actually, even though you are the leader, but you are in a situation that a senior person is in your team. And now you're coming to manage a CBA, completely different location in the structure. You probably never talk to him, you even do not know, he's much farther away within the same department. And why he is there? Oh, he got very good international contact. He got international office, he manages that. He got quite a big contract in China, who are very good in renewable energy, and Germany, and few other places. So, but that manager CBA is in your team to organize that exhibition. Good. But a very senior person, director B, is also looks like in your team, because this is all some of this team you did not recruit. Probably your managing director says that, okay, you have to run it, and this it is. Director B, what he is doing here? He's a director there, and you are just simple officer. He's the one there sent by managing director or the CEO to sit in the team to make sure everything is happening. And he's the one that who is looking after budget. He's sort of like a chief accountant of the department or organization. So he's sitting in your team. And out of all these things, suddenly there's another branch, nothing to do with your department, completely from outside. It's coming and it's becoming external to your committee. And what that external does, so we are planning to hire him or their services, their event manager and event organizer. So they have done it in the past. So you're given all these things. Now, if you are in that sort of situation, what you can see is immediately you can see clearly that you don't have any control on any of these, none of these actually. So how will you get it done? Let's see how we can get it done, particularly this one. I have come up with I ran this last time as well, but this is my own thinking to remember things. We got 4G, 5G, this telephone network. I name it 4E. Remember 4E to get it done. Now, expertise, effective communication efficiency is 1E. Second one is emotional intelligence. Third one is empowerment of followers. And fourth one is equal, not hierarchical. I'm looking at my time, looks like it's running out very soon. So I probably have to be a bit fast. Let's talk about the first one, expertise, effective communication efficiency. So you have to remember, an expert automatically attracts followers. So during the last COVID and Corona period, most of the countries over there, I can found that those who are mainly medical professionals, they were leading it. Even though they are not the minister, they are not the prime minister, but everybody listening to them. I found it to myself also, like during that Dr. Zakir was introducing, we had a very bad drought, 2017 to 2020. Water management, everything was coming to me because I'm a hydrologist, I have better understanding. Then I realized that why they're coming to me, because automatically I become a leader there because of my expertise. So obviously renewable energy, you cannot go and do another master degree just to run this project. You don't have time for it. So what I will do, if I are you, if you get the project, first I'll say go and do your research as much as possible before going to meeting one. Find out other renewable energy expo, where it has happened, all those exhibitions, how big are those exhibitions, who are there, how many people are there, what was done. As much as research you could do, go and learn, so you have some sort of expertise and knowledge about it before you even start doing anything. So that knowledge is very important. Whatever you're asked to do, please go and get some knowledge, help, and it is possible if you're really serious, you'll have some knowledge. Now, you have to communicate in a very plain language. What do you like to do? Right? So let me again, so if you send an email to everyone that in this team, the team that I've been appointed, I will hold an event to inform town planners and businesses in measures conducive to the attainment of a net zero emissions trajectory by reducing anthropogenic emissions and subsequent carbon sequestration. I think no one will read that email after first 3 or 4 words. You remember, you don't have any authority. So it is not that it's an email from the managing director, everyone will read it. It is not that email from the executive director that everyone will read it. You always have to remember that you don't have an authority. So you have to have other charisma. If you talk like this, you'll inform town plan, etc., to no anthropogenic emissions, subsequent carbon sequestration, I don't think anyone will read. What you need to do, you send an email where you simply say that I'm going to organize an expo on renewable energy. Keep it as simple as that. I give you another funny example of complex language. This is two friends are talking. I learned it in a Facebook. Someone said that the engineer. So what are you doing? The answer was, oh yeah, okay. I'm doing what he's doing. He's busy with aquathermal treatment of ceramic and metals under pressurized environment. Actually, what was he doing? His friends said, oh, I know, you're washing dishes and your wife is supervising in the kitchen. So this is the difference between plain language and communication. So all over the world now, in all major English countries I know, they're emphasizing again and again and again, your language need to be very plain. If people do not understand, they lose interest and you lose the control on them. So simplify your language. It doesn't have to be English, obviously, but depends on whatever country you are, whatever language you speak. Your language need to be simple and plain. I would say that if you like to know how the plain language, how to speak, one of the great speakers will be Barack Obama. Go and see his speech. Very complex thing. He always can deliver it in very plain language. Third one is efficient execution. See, again, you got to remember, you are not the boss. You are actually there. So you have to make sure that you have to minimize the time spent by others. Make sure that you have to remember everyone else's time is most important. If you starting a meeting at 2 o'clock, start it just at 2 o'clock. Don't come late. Don't come and give some excuse. If you're late, that is your problem. If you're late, don't come say that I was stuck in traffic. Then you should start early. This is your meeting. They're coming to help you. So that is one thing. Number two is also make sure and write an email. I saw a lot of people write down that you are invited, please see the attached. I said, what do you mean, please see the attached? I don't have time to see your attachment on the email, right? So instead of that, you always think yourself that you are not important person here. You are not the big boss. No one will read your email. If anything, just write everything on the subject. Meeting Thursday, 2 p.m. Then detail inside, you can in the body of the email. Then if you want, you can put an attachment of a formal letter. First is the title is attracting people, right? So it needs to be very efficient. Before even I read the email, then otherwise, if you ask me to read the attachment, I say, I'm not reading your attachment. I've got no time. Or even I don't want to give that importance to you. So this is you have to use everybody's time very efficiently and respect the time of the team members. So when you come to a meeting, make sure agenda and everything is ready when you try to execute things. So people, when they come, they feel that they have achieved something and you have done your homework. Emotional intelligence. This is another very interesting new concept. Not new, but it is not new in psychology, but probably it's coming more and more mainstream. EI is the ability to recognize, understand, manage, and effectively use emotions, both on yourself, your own emotion, you have to understand it, and others. See, traditionally, we have been very much focused on high IQ. That means academic achievements. Those who can write very well, those who can read very well, those who can do mathematics very well, science very well, general knowledge that IQ is very high. So they do very good in school and university and etc. But if you look at all the successful among your own friends, because a lot of you are more than 15 years in their career, they are probably topper in their high school. Are they all with you today? Probably not. Those who are successful with you, so many of them maybe were not topper in your high school. You go, and if you go to high school reunion, you can find out. So this is there is an article that do college grades predict future success, and the answer is maybe not always. Then who are successful people? Actually, successful, yes, you need a good IQ, but that's probably correct. However, that's not the only thing you need for success. For success, you need EI, that emotional intelligence, because ultimately you're dealing with human. So you to understand the human. And it's just, this is some of the interesting statistics. Richard Branson, he was the head of Virgin Group. He didn't do any more than high school. Steve Jobs haven't finished his Reed College. Mark Zuckerberg didn't finish Harvard University. Again, these are extreme examples. Doesn't mean that you don't have to finish your degree or whatever you're doing. What it is saying, that degree is not by itself enough. We need EI. So that means to be a good leader, you need to be emotionally intelligent. Again, I'm looking at my time. I have to, let me quickly go through a few of these. You have to be very good reader of emotional cue, because you're leading human. And you have to read and control your own emotion, frustration. Don't come to the meeting and just say that, look, no one is listening to me. I asked last time to do that. This is not been done. That is not done. Look, this, if this way we go, we'll never have an exhibition on time. It will be a failure. This all should be in your mind. Control your emotion. Always project positive energy. If anything negative, try to think about it, how to deal with it. And if you have a mentor or someone one-to-one, if you're a boss, go and discuss, but not among your team. Don't say that the ship is sinking. If you say ship is sinking, everybody will jump off the ship. No one will try to help. If you say, no, the ship has got some problem, I want X, you to do this, Z, you do that, go and do that. That is a different thing, rather than start become frustration. So control your own emotion. And obviously, you need to see your team member who is happy, who is not, and what is happening. So happiness, disinterest, tension, these are very important, even though sometimes we are not taught to look at these things, but these are very important, because again, we are help human. Here is a little quiz. Some of the emotions actually are universal. There are some research done by psychologists, which is anger, if you're surprised, if you're worried, discuss those emotions. Facial expression doesn't vary from culture to culture, but how extent it is, that is sometimes varies. Like news of a death of probably your child, the way you will be sad, the face will be similar, but sometimes intensity different. So let's do a little again Slido. I like to see disgusted. Which face you think is disgusted? This is actually a psychology book, and from there it is a scholarly book and scholarly things. 1, 2, 3. Which pair is disgusted face you think? Keep it in mind and then answer now. So was it pair 1, pair 2, or pair 3? I think if I go up, I may not. Okay, it is disgusted pair 1, pair 2, or pair 3. 3, 3, 3. Okay, look, 73% is pair 3, and some pair 1 and pair 2. And the answer is pair 3. So actually, okay, as a class, collectively have done well, even though some people probably was confused. Okay, I'll not go about surprise because we are running out of time. Next one, second last point is you have to empower your followers. How to do that? That need to have a shared vision. Shared vision. There's a bit of difference between vision and goal. Shared vision is everybody shared and a high level of thinking, vision. In this case, you're doing an exhibition on renewable energy. You're trying to organize something. The shared vision should be, maybe if all we agree, would be helping cities to reduce carbon footprint. You can say that that's your shared vision. We are trying to do something to reduce their carbon footprint. So once you all agree to the shared vision, then let's do what is our common goal this time for that vision. These things are important to come because everybody then on the same page. They are not doing completely different things than what you wanted them to do. So the common goal would be to organize an exhibition on renewable energy technology and workshop on latest research and development. So that means now it is get clear. Okay, how are we doing? We have exhibition. There will be different exhibits of technology, and the workshop will be on research and development on the same time. Now, once you have done that, now you start decentralize the decision making. Who will come to that workshop? Who will invite to the workshop? You assign someone to do that, and once you've done it, let that person to decide and run with it rather than you are interfering again and again. Because since you don't have power on them, their satisfaction here is not to serve you, but their satisfaction is to achieve an outcome. To get that satisfaction, they need to get to it and they get ownership. And flexible to change path, that's another important thing. When you allow someone to do something, you need to give the flexibility for that person to change path. For example, again, the workshop. You thought that, okay, in that workshop, what we'll do, but the AIT would be the main convener on particular technical side of it. And when you give that person, then he said, no, what we have, we looks like in Chulalongkorn University got more expertise on this. You should not intervene, because if you intervene, you lose that person, then you have to do it yourself. As long as that path, since you already agreed on shared vision and common goal, then the path can change within that, right? If that person would say that, look, rather than renewable energy, why don't we do food security, like how to grow up? Okay, that's probably not this. And that is not changing path, that's changing vision. That's different thing. Because then you go all over the place, then you don't have any control. So again, you have to flexible to change path, but within that shared and common goal. In terms of what I missed though, is now I remember that efficient decision making, after doing all these things, still you are the leader. You got to remember that. So do not suffer on indecision. Decision making itself is another big topic to discuss. But here what I'm trying to say that one thing, people look up to the leader to make decision. Because of, again, going back to, remember I said efficient use of the time. If you do not make decision, the time use is not efficient to a team member. You make decision, obviously, before making decision, you consider everything, listen to everyone, and you consult in all these things if you need to. But once the time to decide, just decide what you like to do. It's as simple as when will be your next meeting date. Some people are talking around and around and around. They spend 5 or 10 minutes to decide when they'll meet the next time. Probably don't do that. Okay, last one. I'm looking at my clock again. So again, the point is, again, project yourself, you are one among equals. It's an interesting English term, which means you are leading your friends, really. So say you're all school friend, or you're all equals, but you are probably leading them to a picnic, for example. You're one among equal, but you are not their boss, but they're listening to you. That's sort of the environment if you can create, then you'll see that everybody will be quite happy to come to you. So facilitate, not dictate. Okay, going back to the workshop example, within that exhibition, there will be a workshop. And yes, but don't dictate or go and talk to this professor in AIT, that in Chulalongkorn. No. If the one is said, look, I got this list, you can check with it. Or I know such and such person in Chulalongkorn University, I got some contact. This is the contact, I can give it to you. And then those are you just help them, but you don't dictate them what to do. So that way they have ownership. And if they need, offer support. For example, someone is sick. For some reason, he cannot meet the deadline. Please go and offer support. So you're always there to help, but rather than bossing around. Recognize achievement. If people can do something, you have to recognize that achievement. For example, one of the achievement could be that a person whose job is to collect sponsorship, they have collected for 5 sponsorships they're supposed to do, or his job is to collect gold and platinum sponsorship, it is done. When done, you recognize it, you tell them that you have done well. And then celebrate milestones. Celebrate milestone is like, for example, this is a collective one. First one is the achievement is, I'm trying to say that individual achievements. Milestone as a team. For example, this one of the milestone is to get the venue and date and everything ready for the workshop. So we are ready to launch. We know exactly which venue and what will happen. So we ready to launch. The website you launch and the brochure. So that is an achievement. It's a milestone that you have done as a collectively. Once you have done it, celebrate among yourself, go for a dinner together, or do something or something internally to feel good among yourself that look, it took 6 months, but now we are ready. We know exactly where the exhibition will happen, how it will happen, what will happen. So those are the milestones. So make sure that you celebrate it, that everybody feel happy about it. And I say acknowledge contributions. So it's probably towards the end of the conference or something, you acknowledge the contribution of people. The acknowledgement doesn't have to be a very big thing. As a human, we like to be validated. We like to be told what good work we are doing. And okay, just as trying to see here. Okay, see, the 2 years ago, I finished 35 years in scouting. So what they've given me is probably due to, okay, you can see maybe, yeah, it says 35, right? Due to since my background. But what I'm trying to say, they gave me a simple framed certificate with a big letter 35. The frame may not be cost more than in Thai baht, maybe what, 500 baht or maybe 1,000 baht or less than that. And that is nothing. However, the way they have done it is, well, we do it in this. They organized an AGM, annual general meeting, where around at least 200 people were present, and many things happen out of that. They called my name, and the chief of the scouting, the whole chief, he came and he gave me this thing. So even though there's no money, nothing involved, it's just a piece of paper, and just a very humble certificate, maybe sitting in my office room right next to me. However, that is a contribution, and they're acknowledging my contribution in a very public way. So when you deal with volunteers or someone you don't have authority on, this is the way to reward that person, that you cannot give him you don't have budget to give a $1 million baht bonus. But this probably much better than $1 million baht bonus because of that public acknowledgement. Look, I probably should stop here. I have sort of skipped few of the things I fastened because again, the discussion will happen there. There's again, looping back, there are 4 key items. First, you have to get your expertise, effective communication and efficiency in place. You need to be efficient, you need to be expert, and you have to communicate effectively. Second point is you have to be emotionally intelligent. That's very important, emotional intelligence. Third point, again, I said, you have to empower your followers. They are there not to follow your orders. They are there for their own satisfaction, own achievement. So you have to empower them to do that. And never ever forget that you are equal. You are not hierarchical. You are not boss of them. So never forget that even if you're boss of them, if you like to be equal, you'll feel you'll get a lot out of this thing. So what I'll do, this is my last slide. You probably see in slide, it'll pop up. You can start writing on 1 or 2 things that you found interesting in this session. So we can share among other people, can see on this screen what you're writing, and we can go to Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shadab. Excellent presentation, and really something that we can understand from your own personal experiences. You have delivered this excellent session. And probably I like to just start saying that there are 3 takeaways also for me from your presentation. Before we start this Q&A, and I think the participants have keep writing. I was also about to write about those things. Instead of writing, I will just say here. These 3 takeaways that I see is the first thing that I personally really like is the workplace structure. The way you have explained it, the pyramid structure, the more traditional, the conventional pyramid structure to more kind of a project-based workplace structure, which is something that probably is very interesting and very important for many of us also learn. Although probably some of us are practicing it or trying to come into this, but this is something kind of a value addition to that, or kind of a. The second thing, I think the participants keep writing, let them write. The second thing that I got as a key takeaway is the which is also relevant to the first point that you mentioned, is the team formation for a specific project or activity. This is something that I personally like again, and personally like to emphasize very, very much, because you mentioned that why you need to form this team for a specific project or for a specific task, and what are the responsibility or the role for the leader in this team, where the leader could be someone subordinate, not the director itself. This is something very important and interesting for me. The third one is, of course, the 4 E's that you have explained, and I think that was the major part of your last part of the presentation, which is very, very important. And you have, I think, rightly mentioned and emphasized a lot about emotional intelligence, empowerment, and equality, other than the expertise, effectiveness, and the efficiency. Those are really important takeaways and I think valuable lesson for us. I think with that, probably I like to now open the floor for Q&A. And I have, or we have, I think many of my colleagues are also asking the participants to write their questions in the Q&A box and also in the chat box. So we got probably a couple of them. So let me just open the Q&A box, class. And I think there is this question in the Q&A box. Dr. Shadat, can you also see that, or you want me to read it?
Okay.
So the question is how to change this mindset in the school system. Oftentimes people want the leader to make the final decision in case there is a consequence. If you can address this question.
Yeah.
This is from Mr. Thomas, I think.
How to change, okay, if I read it out again, how to change this mindset in school system. Oftentimes people want the leader to make the final decision in case there is consequences. This is a difficult one. Obviously, it is, you're talking about how to train the leader that is not trained in a sense. And one way is, one way this call is managing up. There's another subject there, how you manage someone who is senior to you. Managing up is, it is probably more of an organizational culture that you need to come with the understanding that it's okay to manage up. The leader who is on top need to be, it's come from the top that I'm happy to be reminded. I tell many of my, those who work under me that I'm quite happy for you to let me know if I'm forgetting things, or I am not coming to a meeting, or I promised something to give you and I haven't given to you. Like I supposed to read an email, I haven't done the email, or I supposed to give a comment on a document that I haven't given. So first, it is actually leader on top have to open it up. And if it is not happened to your direct manager, so maybe one way to do it, to come with the organizational culture from very top. We come from very top. I found that when you go very high up, like a CEO of a bank or those sort of level, they are quite approachable, very surprising. That you'll find that actually they are very quite approachable. They're never busy. I'm surprised to me. I met few of them and I feel, how do they have that? Then I have thinking that actually other way around, that is their characteristic. That's why they have taken to that level. So if you're not having a good sort of this feedback from middle managers, I would say that try on the top of the organization, and obviously not complaining about your manager. That will be probably then you lose your job. But what do you do? Then you gonna have, then you say that look, we need some sort of organizational culture where the decisions are made, and if not made, then someone from the bottom is ready to push. I'm not probably very good at answering this one, but what I'm trying to say that if you don't have a luck with the immediate manager, don't complain higher up. However, what you try to get an opportunity to go to higher up and say that we need an organizational culture where those who are bottom of the structure can help to send feedback. What do we call this? There's another way called 360-degree feedback. You feedback to the loop and see how you're doing it. And normally on the top, they'll be quite happy to listen to that, because at the end of the day, if you are a CEO or president or executive director, you want the organization to function. So if you get those sort of comments, you probably will be good. Yeah. Emotional intelligence came a number of times, a common goal. I'm just looking at leadership, yeah, those words are coming.
So, Dr. Shadov, can I pick the next question?
Yes, please, yeah.
So the next question that I'm picking is from the chat box. I think this was a question during the presentation. I don't know whether this has been already answered, but let me read it. Impact of leaders on the subordinates, how it would be strengthened.
Okay. I'm assuming that you are the leader here in this case. That's why you're asking the question, if I think that way. If that is, I would say that it is always strengthened by if you can come down at their level. If you're giving them a work, spend some time with them as well. If you have a complex Excel spreadsheet, sit down and sometimes you say that, look, I have got time with you, no problem. And no question is a silly question. So when you come down at their level, then chances are they'll open up that, look, I don't understand this formula, this spreadsheet that I received from such and such. It is so complex. At least then you know that the person is struggling and he's opening it up. And so one way is to make yourself approachable. You have to come down to the level. You don't say that, look, I'm the chief engineer. I don't have time to go through this. You go and you talk to such and such. Talk to Dr. Zakir. Zakir going to explain to you. Maybe don't do that, but whatever at your level, you make yourself available, and that way they open up. And obviously, you have a limited time. You cannot spend whole day with that person, but you just show that you are available there, and then you nicely direct them to wherever they can get that help. So it is making yourself available. Your time is what the way I say it's an investment, and your time is also is a gift to them. You may not realize, but if you give you a half an hour time or 15 minutes time, and if you're the higher up you are, you get much more appreciation from the bottom up that, okay, such and such gave me 15 minutes time or 20 minutes time. And when the time you give uninterrupted attention, don't look at your phone, don't do something else. And very interestingly, another thing that now is online for the face to face. When someone coming to talk to you, don't talk like this. You should turn around and face that person and talk. Those are little things, right? That means when that person has come to talk to you, you are giving very importance to that person. So just completely, if you have, most of us actually, I'm all sitting on a chair with a rotated wheel. You just turn around and you talk, look at that person and give complete attention. And don't, yeah, I talked to the kid on the same chair. So those are little body language, and that will come automatically. You don't need to artificially show it. If you're in the mind, you in your heart also you give that importance. The body language, we're human. We understand each other actually. So it will come through, and you will see that they will appreciate, and in fact they will help you when you need help. So if your staff doesn't want to work, very difficult to get the work done. If they do substandard work and they're not happy with the system, there is a saying that you can catch more flies with honey than vinegar. If you use honey, more fly will come. If you use vinegar, very few fly will come. So sometime coming to that level, you get more reward, and both feel reward. You feel good, your project has done, and they also will feel good that someone at the senior level is looking at and looking after them.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think that was also a very good question also for all of us. Impact of leaders on subordinates. Thank you very much, Shamim Akhtar, for that. I think Shamim Akhtar also has made a comment that the 4 he found interesting and key points of the session. Thank you again. So we have a question. Next question is Raza Sajjad Azkar. The question is, what is role of overall social fabric of society to move toward leadership without formal authority? So he is kind of asking for the society, you know.
Yeah, this is a difficult one, isn't it? We cannot change our society, and I found that it is very true in Asian and Oriental culture. Is very much also very hierarchical still, yeah. And for that reason, I feel a lot of time we miss out efficiencies. Someone who is the bottom of the organization doesn't mean that that person is dumb or anything. Probably he's younger. He'll be there at my position after 30 years where I am today. But what might be that person knows better, maybe something that person knows much better than me, right? So we cannot change the society, but what might happen is if we start showing good examples, it might come up. This is something I notice because at the end of the day, as an organization, you want to maximize your capacity, maximize your strength. And if that maximize strength means then whoever got whatever level in the organization, you have to take the best strength out of that person, like best energy of that person. If someone is a young person, that person probably can decode a complex formula, or can spend till 10 o'clock night and get a very complex macro done, which I will not be able to do. If I sleep after 10 o'clock, I feel next day I cannot work because my age. So different people can do different things. And if we can all go to that common vision, but again, that question, you're very right. Especially in developing countries, we still need to a lot of catch up to do in terms of getting efficiency, because we are still very hierarchical and very much relying on power to get things done. And you can get things done, but not enough. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Shahzad. I think we have a little long question. Maybe I also like you to look at the chat box. This is from Mr. MD Omar Farouk. And he said, my question is, what should be the priority of a successful leader to achieve the organizational goal by considering below factors? The factors he like to mention is vision about achieving the goal, teamwork, long-term team building, career pathway for the subordinates, and workload distribution by involving the leaders' engagement. This is a very big and complex question, but if you can address this.
I'm trying to see in a Q&A on my side whether I can see.
It is in the chat box, Dr. Shahzad.
The chat.
Yeah, the second
Okay.
class.
Priority of successful leader. See, some of these are interrelated, obviously. If you cannot do one without others. I would say that to get attention from your team, maybe one is career pathway for a subordinate. If people can see that they have a career progression, if they do well, someone will notice. I think we all are selfish. We all like to look after ourselves, in a sense. And there's nothing wrong in it, because that's how we could get up in terms. So I would say the career pathway is one of the important things. And second term is long-term team building. They're sort of interrelated, because there is a career is part of that long-term team building. And these two will not happen if you do not distribute your workload properly. If one is loaded very high, another one is loaded very low, and there would be sort of distortion within the organization, then maybe it would be a difficult one. But I would say that for me, it will be career pathway, and from there, vision of our achieving goal will come.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think these are very interesting discussion, kind of the thing that I was trying to say. Many of these things we sometimes try to practice or bring as a change in our practice. And the things that we have been discussing here, along with your presentation, is a kind of a proof to those, basically. So this is really, really useful for all of us. I think there is a additional question from Shamim Akhtar again. And the question is, emotional intelligence is very good tool for leadership. Is it natural or can be achieved? If so, how?
It is actually a very interesting point. Yes. Some people get it and some people really don't get it, right? Yeah. If you see some comedy, whether it is popular, there, Big Bang Theory. In Big Bang Theory, I watched the character of Sheldon, and then he's one of the very high achiever, PhD in nuclear physics and etc. But he cannot read people's emotion. He's become robotic. Very true. And those who are natural, they can go very high up. Say, for example, all big leaders. In every nation have got the big leaders, maybe like Ho Chi Minh, Mao Zedong, or any name you say. They are the top of emotional intelligence reader. They cannot read, they not only can read individual, they can read whole society's emotion together. when people are angry, when people are there. So they say the exactly the right thing and everybody is behind them. Obviously, we cannot be that leader at that level. But what I'm trying to say, those are natural things. But some emotional intelligence at some level, you don't need to learn, but as long as you are aware of it, this is important. See, in the past, go back to around 20, 30 years ago, job is just job. People even will not call by first name, like Mr. Chaudhary. So you are not a human, you're Mr. Chaudhary. Or they will say that in Bangladesh, Director Sahib, something like this. There's a no name. My father was a deputy director and used to call DD.
Yeah.
DD is deputy director is there, or DG is there, deputy director general. So in the past, the people are not human. They all are worker. They all stone face. You will do not know who is married or not married, or it is. You do not know anything because you should not. So that way you do not know what's happening. Someone's children may be very sick. He's running in the hospital. He's very stressed about it, right? And you want him to finish a certain job. So you're not actually looking after him. So those are in the past. So in the now, what I say that difficult to learn. We cannot go and get a psychology degree. If you really want to learn, you need to have a psychology degree. We don't do it, but at least as long as you're aware of it, we all are human. Yes, I don't want you to be people's private life. That is again another extreme. You don't go, how is your wife doing? How do you have breakfast today? Yeah, she made very good breakfast, isn't it? Oh, she never make breakfast for you. You make it yourself. Don't go to that detail. That's too much detail. Having said that, but at least be aware of that person. What is that person's private life going on? That there is a balance there. You have to make a balance, but you need to be aware. Those are important. A staff may not be performing very well right now because his children is very sick. He is going to hospital, coming and going, etc. If necessary, you yourself said that, look, you don't need to do this project. Maybe you say take 1 week off. We're happy to without you. So you're looking after him. He's looking after. So from that emotional intelligence, we may not be able to learn very clearly, but when you start looking at it, we're all human. We got brother, sister, but we got everyone. We always live with other people, friends. So in general, someone will be a bit better, someone will be worse. But what I'm trying to say that if you are aware of it, maybe you're already ahead of it. What I do in my job also, I got at least half a dozen, a bit more than that, my direct reports. I try to have at least meet them, if not once a week, once in 2 weeks, 1 hour session. It is in my calendar. That is their 1 hour. It is not, they don't come and report to me what they have done. That is like project meeting. It's not project meeting. I said, you come and you say what you like to talk to me. They have mainly no one talk about the personal life. Most of them, they talk about the work life, what is happening, etc. But the personal thing also sometimes come. Yes, look, my mother is coming, this, that, I help you. I said, that's fine. You need a leave next month. We'll think about it. So there is opportunity to talk. So that way, sort of, I can keep an eye how it is going. And they also can keep an eye on the project. So that's probably one way of doing it before, unless, who is that? Shamim Akhtar. If Shamim Akhtar like to go to do a master's in psychology, please go and do that. Then you learn much more than that. But in general, I would say that please at least be aware of it. When you're aware of it, you're probably already ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Shahrukh. I think before we close this Q&A session, I see that in the Q&A box, there is an additional, not question, but comment, which is connected to the previous question, which was asked, like how to change this mindset in school system. Oftentimes, people want the leader to make the final decision in case there is a consequences. And the additional comment from an anonymous attendee is that I think this person means the mindset of the people below the leader, which is probably already addressed, but I just would like to repeat it again that, yeah, I think this is sometimes very common that people are not like scared, but they are kind of hesitate to make a decision or give a decision. They think if there is a consequence come, that maybe I will be affected or I will be, or some kind of effect will come to or impact will come to me. So instead of that, they just want the leaders to make the decision. So you want to say anything on that?
Yes. Maybe again, that is a culture you need to slowly set. Different people come from different background and different experience from their previous boss. I had a staff member that what she used to do when she sent me a document, lot of track change here and there, and track change to show me what she has changed, and a few times other collaboration happening, and she sent everything to me. After seeing few times, I realized, and some of this actually my own writing, so she was a bit afraid. So then I told her that, look, please keep only the thing that you are really not sure, want me to look at in track change. Rest is, I'm happy for you to accept it. And something I wrote last time doesn't mean it is the best writing. That time I thought about if you think second. So obviously I have to give that assurance to her that I'll not mind if you change something for better. And yes, if you are you have indecision on something, keep it on track change, but not everything. So as a leader, you also have to need to assure them that you are happy for them to make that decision, right? So sometimes they are also not sure that whether there is always a fine line, right? You make a decision, you make boss angry. You haven't asked me that you move that date another by 1 week or something like that. So you probably need to give them that boundary, what you allow them to decide and what you do when you want them to come to you. But that's probably as a boss, probably it's up to you to say that and to emphasize that every boss is a bit different. My own boss is also different. I want to change now. If I was not sure what he wants me to decide or not, then now I have some idea, but it is up to, if you are the boss, if you are the leader, maybe it is up to you to explain that very clearly, what are the boundaries.
I think we have a new question that comes, and probably we can take it as the last question in the Q&A session. We are going towards almost 1.5 hour session now. So the question from Nabil Bokhari, he said, in organizations, both the formal and informal form of leadership is present. What are your experience on these two forms of leadership performed together in the bottom line of an organization? So he wants to say that there are formal and informal form of leadership is present in most organizations. So what is your experience on these two forms performed together in the bottom line?
There are cases, if it is a formal leadership required, for example, in terms of budget, right? How much you can spend on certain project, or those sort of need formal leadership. Otherwise, it'll go all over the place, right? In terms of budget, in terms of maybe the promotion and those are organizational thing, need a formal leadership, need some formal decision. We cannot sit down all together and discuss, okay, do we make Mr. X the director? No. We cannot do that. But those are need formal decision. What I am saying, my one is more like a leadership to achieve a task, a project, or an assignment. From that perspective, my really here presentation. And if you are already a leader in your organization, then my presentation probably you can see it this way, that even though you have authority, maybe don't use that authority and try to lead without authority. That way you will see you will have more success. Because what is happening, people are doing that because they're loving you rather than they're scared of you. If they're doing the job because they're scared of you, you don't get the 100% from them. But if they're doing the job because they're motivated, they're loving the project, that will happen if you actually lead without showing your authority. Interesting, another one briefly, sometimes EI can be mistaken for softness and balance. Okay, EI doesn't mean that, that son is sick. That is true. That example. Probably that is not the softness, but if that person is using the same excuse and everything all the time, using your soft corner, they know that you're a soft person and always something goes wrong, and his home is always there something goes wrong, then you can see a pattern there. You need to be smart enough to see whether anyone is exploiting your leniency, right? Obviously, any leader, there's another thing you have to see whether people are exploiting your leniency. So that part is true. We live in a difficult world, but from my experience, there's not many of such people. Only there are very few, but most of the people I found that, if anything, they're very happy if you do not use your authority. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And I think there are also comments from Shamim Akhtar again. Thank you very much, Dr. Shahadat Chaudhary.
Thank you very much as well. I was going to say, Zakir, what people are interested from here, I can see that maybe respectful workplace or something on that line. If you are curious, we can probably go there, but that's some other time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Shahadat. It's a wonderful presentation, and also thank you very much for really making it engagement, giving the opportunity for all of us to engage with your talk.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's really an excellent presentation and very useful and helpful for all of us. Of course, it's the time for Achan Boravit. Would you like to ask any question or say?
No. Thank you very much, Dr. Shadat, for your presentation and for sharing of your practical experience. I mean, I believe that this actually experience and skill that we pick up from today presentations and sharing can really be applied just right after the session ends. So it's very simple. It is with plain language, and also there is not complicated at all. Actually, is a people skill and something that is always dealing with the chemistries in the organization. So thank you so much to make this, very useful, very useful, I should say.
It's of course our great pleasure to be able to complete this session. It took a little longer than we expected, but that is because of the I think the usefulness and the useful discussion that we had been having, and also because of the presenter, Dr. Shadat, who actually made it really kind of engaged with the participants. So with that, I think we like to convey our special gratitude and thanks to all the participants, wherever you are attending from. Thank you very much for attending these sessions. Please keep an eye to our website and social media. As you may know that we have been offering these online free sessions in every month, at least 2 times a month, and on different topics. Sometimes it is about engineering and technological topics. Sometimes it's about management related topics. Sometimes it's about business related topics. Sometimes it's about leadership and all those kinds of topics.
Can I add to Dr. Saki to the audience? The audience who would like also to share your practical experience, you are most welcome, to contact us, to contact Dr. Saki, myself, and my team, so that we can really engage you into our online sessions all the time. And as Sadat said, everybody has their body of knowledge, practical knowledge, that can be also useful to give away to other persons. So it's a giving society. Yeah. So please feel free to let us know your body of the knowledge that you want to share.
Yes. Thank you very much, Achan Boravit. And I think you probably know that as an institute or center under EIT Extension is actually coordinating and designing and delivering lots of capacity building program. And, leadership is one area. We do lots of training. And I think this is one of the reasons we became interested to give a talk or free session on leadership with this very specific topic. But of course, leadership and management is one big area that EIT Extension has been working very extensively. And we have been delivering training and capacity building programs for different departments, under different ministries, under different governments. So that's being said, please keep an eye also for the forthcoming sessions. Every month, as I said, at least 2 times we will be having this kind of free sessions. Even from the speaker today, Dr. Shadat Chaudhary, we are now considering to have our next session, which will be respectful workplace. I think we'll be coming up with these sessions sometimes around 1.5 months or 2 months time from now on. But of course, there will be other session in between, like, for example, we are going to have a session on crab farming, which is about aquaculture or blue economy or sustainable blue economy early next month. And I think alongside many of our other colleagues also are kind of working for other sessions. So please keep an eye on that. And then definitely we like to invite all of you to explore the opportunities that EIT Extension is bringing for the audiences or for the wider audiences in the form of training and capacity building program. You feel free to contact to any of us and all of us, and may be connected with our social media pages. And our website, you can go and find everything, which is extension.ait.ac.th. So with that, I think I like to conclude these sessions and give you once again, a special thanks and gratitude. So good evening, good afternoon, good morning from wherever you are. You have a great day or the great evening, great afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.